Ronnie, empieza el flow. Esta es la nueva era, pero baila todo. Baila una de Maluma y tengo.
I'm not trying to glorify or to judge anyone. I just want to show you all the perspectives about Pablo Escobar, because there are many perspectives.
I know a little bit about him. I know mostly about his jail and all the stories about his jail. So he built his own jail, and I know he became. I know he tried to become a politician, right?
Yeah.
And he did well for his people. Like he took care of his people, but he also slaughtered a lot of people. Which is people would say that he took that overboard, which he shouldn't have. So I agree with that too.
Yeah, a lot of things that I'm gonna explain you why it happened. The first place that we're going to see, to take a look, is that cathedral. What was his jail? Okay, what was his prison? Right. Because it was more a resort when he was there.
Yeah.
It's something else.
And I heard he built underground passages to escape too.
No, that's not true.
Denied.
That's not true? So when they came to his jail to raid him, he escaped though, right?
He escaped, but not like they say by tunnels or helicopter. I'm gonna explain you.
Oh,
there.
nice, yeah.
And I'm gonna show you all about Pablo Escobar, because in series like Narcos, they show only since Pablo Escobar was already a big smuggler, working with contraband. But they don't show Pablo Escobar how he grew up, how was his family, how he get to that point. The real person that introduced Pablo Escobar in the cocaine business, that was not this guy, the cockroach, that never existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a girl named Griselda Blanco, the Black Widow. I don't know if you have heard about it.
No, wow, I didn't hear that.
That's the real person.
Solo con esa mirada hace lo que quiere. Se ve muy educadita, hace sus deberes. Siempre ha sido la envidia de las mujeres. Por toda esa belleza.
At the beginning, he was only worried, Pablo Escobar. But it was like kind of disrespectful, because they made something bigger for this guy.
Right.
And a lot of people was a little bit sensitive about this theme. And you know, that's why it's not easy to talk about Pablo Escobar with the Colombian people during these days. You know why? Because that theme is still raw. Pablo Escobar was killed only 26 years ago.
Right.
So you still can find people that lost their colleagues, their friends, their loved ones because of Pablo Escobar, so it's not easy to talk about it. But I think it's really necessary to talk about these guys, because he's part of our history, and we cannot deny that Pablo Escobar changed our life in a social, political, and economical way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Pablo Escobar and his people put us in a map for a lot of countries that didn't know who were Colombia. And as I told you, it's part of our history, and we have to learn about what happened and not to repeat it. We have to change the page, but not forgetting what happened.
Yeah, so this is all the rest of his family members here, right?
Yes. So after Pablo was killed, after he and Limon were buried, the family decided to make like a memorial for the loved ones of Pablo Escobar. The first one what we have is Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. He was born the 1st of December of 49, and he was killed the 2nd of December, one day after his birthday of 1993. He was only 44 years old. He was young. But everybody expects that he was older, like 60 or 50 now. But he started when he was 12.
Wow.
The business.
That's crazy.
It means you were a conqueror of impossible dreams. Beyond the legend that you symbolize today, just a few knew the true essence of your life. Deep by the family. Since I've been coming here, I always see fresh flowers. Wow. All the time. From who? His family, the people that like him, the people that love him, the visitors. And as I told you, there's still a fanatism. Some people, I've seen people that they come and put on their knees, like asking for favors, like if it was a saint or something like that. But it's understandable. You know, he was really good for some people. Not all of people, but for some people, he was something else. The next one is Luis Fernando Escobar Gaviria. He was the youngest brother. He wasn't involved in the business. He died in a car accident. As you can see, in the 25th of December, in a car that he received as a present, and he crashed, unfortunately, at 19 years old that day. Teresa Vergara, when they moved from the countryside, the mom started to work in a school that I'm going to show you later, and the father started to work like a watchman in the same school, so they had to hire someone to be focused on the kids, 7 kids, and mainly Pablo Escobar, that was really hard to handle. So Teresa was like a nanny. That's why she have a special place here with Pablo. Nice. She was like a second mom. Hermilda Gaviria, she's the mom, the head of the family. A lot of us said that Pablo had to be first Gaviria than Escobar, because the way to talk, to act, to move to the charisma was received by this side, the Gaviria, his mom. His mom was a really big supporter of Pablo Escobar. The only two people that we can say that he used to listen was his mom and his cousin Gustavo. So she was really important.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Cool.
Álvaro de Jesús Agudelo, probably you remember this guy from the series, Limon. Limon, the last guy standing with Pablo, the last man standing, the taxi driver.
Oh yeah, he did a whole bunch of things for him.
Yes, he was the last man staying with Pablo. They died in the same place, in the same day. And the family decided that he had to have a place here because he was really loyal. He was the last man standing. At the end, everybody abandoned Pablo. Not everyone, but the most of them, or were killed. And he stayed until the last day. Juan Manuel Echeverri was an uncle, and Abel de Jesus Escobar Echeverri was his father. His father was a more humble person. You know, he didn't like the way of life that the guys were living, so when he had the opportunity to receive a property, he moved back to the countryside to live as a humble farmer. They never got divorced. They only go to his place in special dates, or he come in the special dates. But he was a really humble and settled person.
So that's pretty fascinating here. So here is pretty much Pablo Escobar's grave. So family, uncles, nanny. That's pretty fascinating. That's a piece of history right here. And as you can see, this is Pablo's grave. It's pretty fascinating that we're actually here, standing here, right beside his grave. That's absolutely phenomenal. Crazy piece of history. Regardless if it's good or bad, still a piece of history. But wow, that's an honor. Very cool to be here right now.
This is Gustavo, his cousin. His cousin was killed 11th of August of 1990, 3 years before Pablo Escobar was killed. How was he killed? For example, in Narcos, in another series, they showed that he was found in a motel laying with the Marta Nieves Ochoa, the Ochoa's brother's sister, but that's not true. He was found at his property with his wife and son, and he was killed by the search block. Who was the search block? At that point, Pablo Escobar and Gustavo and the Medellin cartel were fighting against four fronts. The search block was an army made with policemen that lost their colleagues or their friends or from away Medellin.
Oh wow.
People that really wanted to chase him.
Yeah.
Policemen that were uncorruptible, the search block. Second, the DEA. The DEA, after 80s, started to push Colombian government a lot to allow extradition law. The extradition law was to allow them to take all these criminals in Colombia, drug traffickers, and put them in their jails. That was the biggest fear of any drug dealers since those days, still nowadays, to pay jail outside, because that's a real jail. And at the end, I'm gonna explain you later who were them. Los Pepes. Pepes means perseguidos por Pablo Escobar, persecuted by Pablo Escobar, that were made mainly after he escaped from La Catedral. I'm gonna explain you that later. But at that point, he was being chased by all the people.
Yeah, lots of people. Right?
Yeah. Beside that, he was killed. Pablo, in some point of his life, started to pay $700 average for every policeman you killed. 525 policemen were killed during that time. If you were colonel, captain, general, he was going to pay you more. Unfortunately, a lot of good guys died at that time. Imagine, we had mandatory to be 1 year in the army or the police. So the most of these guys were just, we can say kids, 19, 18 years old that just went out from the school and they went to the police.
It's crazy that we're actually here, right where Pablo was buried. It's epic. And the view too, like the whole city. Absolutely phenomenal. This guy here is really good, teaching us, giving us a lot of info of the origins and everything behind it, because he's saying a lot of people in Colombia, they love him and they also hate him. So there's reasons behind everything. So it's a soft topic for Colombians here, because I mean, it's easy for us as we're foreigners, we just hear stories and we watch TVs, series about it, but these guys know the truth and they know everything about here. So it's very cool to be with our tour guide right now, who's showing us and explaining everything to us. So we're learning a lot. So it was great, man. It's honestly great. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't know about Pablo, right? So it's cool that we're actually here, and it's good that you guys are here with us. So I should give you guys a breakdown. I'm gonna go listen to Kevin tell us a little bit more. So onto this one.
Okay guys, look here. Remember that we were talking about Griselda Blanco, the real person that introduced Pablo in the business. Griselda. She was really heavy. She was really important for the drug dealers, and she was crazy. As I told you, she was named the Black Widow. She used to kill a lot of people. In some point of their lives, they were really violent. And she went to jail in the United States because, you know,
So she got
caught
exported
in Florida. No, she was caught in Florida.
Oh.
She was caught there.
How did she die?
She was killed here. After she spent a long time in jail in the United States, she was sent back in 2004 to Medellin. And in 2012, she was killed.
Wow.
2 shots in the head by who?
Ella baila pero no dice nada, su booty lo expresaba con perreíto y con dembow. Sabe bien que ha sido la estrella.
I'm 33 years
So
old.
you were like,
When Pablo was killed, I was only like 7 years old. So I don't remember a lot, I'm honest. I don't remember a lot, but I grew up with that in my family.
oh yeah.
Some of my the colleagues of my mom were killed.
Oh wow.
Some of my father friends died too. It was insane. Remember, in 1988, we became in the murder capital in the world with 27 deaths daily, only in Medellin,
Wow.
by violence. And the violence in Medellin lasted, we can say, the worst time after 83 till 1991. So it's a long part of our history
Yeah.
that we were on violence. And mainly because Pablo Escobar, on some point of his life, he declared the war against the government, but he involved the civilians too. Okay?
Yeah.
Now we're going to La Catedral. I know that's hard to understand why this guy received all this privilege, but I'm gonna explain you why. Because in some part of our life, it was more important to us to have peace than justice. So, but I'm gonna explain you.
Quiere más.